Lola looked into the eyes of her all-male colleagues, and her mind went completely blank. There were no words, no ideas, no thoughts. There was nothing. Just a blank. Her heart raced, her legs trembled, and the walls of the room started to close in on her. She looked across at JJ, who was patiently waiting for her to start her speech. In the middle of the audience, she noticed an immaculately dressed man. His hair was gelled back and his sleeves were rolled up. He was staring at her with a smile on his face. Was he encouraging her? Or was he enjoying her suffering? Either way, it jolted her out of the inertia. She focused her attention on her breath, cleared her head of all the negative energy, and moved forwards. "Thank you very much for such a warm welcome. I'm so happy to be part of this team. I'm really looking forward to working with you to make the digital world a safer place." It wasn't a great speech, short and bland, but it was good enough to save Lola from a public meltdown, and for that, she was thankful.
Welcome back to the Adventures of Lola Badiola. Now we know what happened to Lola after her mind went blank. She breathed slowly, calmed herself down, then she stepped forward and delivered a very short speech. Well done, Lola! Now let's find out what happened next.
The Adventures of Lola Badiola, Chapter 10, The Coffee. Lola stood alone in the women's bathroom, looking at herself in the mirror. It had been almost 3 years since her last panic attack. Her therapy and yoga sessions had helped control these self-destructive tendencies. Ever since she was a teenager, she had fought an ongoing battle with the little demons inside her head. She knew the triggers: alcohol, caffeine, lack of sleep, stress, and she avoided them as much as she could. She took some cold water in her hands and splashed it over her cheeks. She was determined to keep her condition a secret from her new colleagues. Mental strength was considered essential in her line of business. She didn't want to be stigmatized. Waiting for her outside the bathroom was Cayetano Tolosa. "Hey, nice speech." "Thanks. Do you have time for a coffee?" Lola's father had once warned her to be suspicious of the first person who wanted to be your friend when you started a new job, moved to a new neighborhood, or joined a new team. He believed that they always had a hidden agenda. Sure. She knew she would be working very closely with Cayetano. It was therefore a good idea to find out his strengths and weaknesses as soon as possible. He had never worked in the cybersecurity sector, and she had never worked in a startup environment. So they had something in common. They were both fish out of water. "I know the best place for pinchos around here," he said. "Great." Lola followed Cayetano out of the office and down onto Gran Via. It was a relatively quiet morning, only a few tourists for the pickpockets to target. Lola held her handbag close to her body as they headed onto one of the quieter side streets. Cayetano was a little taller than her, but this was only because of the 6-centimeter heels of his Balenciaga boots. He clearly spent a lot of money on his appearance. He wore skin-tight Armani jeans, a shiny white shirt by Karl Lagerfeld, and a Burberry winter jacket. He was either living beyond his means, or he was independently wealthy. "Coffee with milk," said Cayetano to the old man behind the bar at the cafe. "Fresh orange juice, please." "Smoke?" "No." "Do you mind if we sit outside so I can have a cigarette?" "Sure." They took their drinks and sat at a small round table next to the entrance of the cafe. Cayetano lit his cigarette and looked coolly into the distance. So, what brought you to J Block? Lola asked. Cayetano took a sip of his coffee, a drag of his cigarette, and then smiled. The money. It was an ironic comment. The salary and benefits at J Block were lower than more established companies. It was true that all the employees had an equity stake in the company, but at that point it was valueless. Cayetano continued. My cousin introduced me to JJ. I knew I had to work at J Block. The guy's a visionary. Did you have a job interview? Of course, replied Cayetano. I prepared like a maniac, read everything, anticipated the questions. Then I practiced my answers in English out loud. What kind of questions did he ask you? Cayetano crushed his cigarette into the ashtray and looked Lola straight in the eye. You think I'm only here because of my connections, don't you? The expression on Cayetano's face changed. The peacock strutting down Gran Via was suddenly just a sad and vulnerable duckling. Lola couldn't help sympathizing with him. She knew what it was like to be an outsider. She leaned forward. Hey, if JJ offered you the job, then you deserve the job. As you said, the guy's a visionary. Thanks, Lola. Cayetano reached forward and gently held her arm. It was an unexpected gesture, and Lola wasn't sure how to respond. That's a beautiful watch, he said. They both looked down at the large watch on Lola's thin wrist. It was my father's. It's a Patek Philippe in white gold. Cayetano completed her sentence. Your father was a very stylish man. He released her arm. It's a pity that it doesn't have the original strap. Once again, Lola was unsure how to respond. She had inherited the watch and replaced the crocodile skin strap with a synthetic alternative that looked almost identical. Nobody had ever noticed before. Shall we head back to the office? He said. I need to follow up a few sales leads.